This video is for my fellow military members out there and veterans. You are sitting on what is arguably the most powerful home loan in the country, and most of you never use it. So in this video, I'm going to share 10 benefits of the VA loan, of your VA loan. Hi, my name is Paul. I'm a realtor in the state of California. I'm based in the Central Valley region, and I specialize in helping military families and veterans with their real estate needs. I'm currently a reservist in the United States Navy. I used to be active duty, but I did my time. I had fun. And while I was in the service, well, active and currently reserved, I realized that most service members don't know they have these benefits, the VA loan in particular. I also realized that those who know don't use it, usually as a result of the most common reasons where they didn't know how to. Another reason I observed was they were afraid to use it. And I realized that these two reasons or other reasons were as a result of a lack of information. So I decided to go into real estate, particularly to help service members, military and veterans, and of course, other qualifying members with as much information as I can on this subject. Got my license, and so that's why I particularly specialize on or with military families. So in this video, like I said, I'm going to talk about 10 benefits of your VA loan. In my last video, which I should put somewhere on this screen, I believe it's going to be up here, I'm not quite sure, but you should look out for it on either top left or top right hand side of your screen. In my last video, I talked about the benefits of the VA loan. I defined what it is. I listed some of the benefits. Well, in summary, if I had to refresh, well, you can look at the video, but it's basically a loan. I'm going to read from my phone here. It's a mortgage that's guaranteed by the Department of Veteran Affairs, and it's for eligible veterans, active duty service members, and surviving spouses. I talked about some of the benefits that it had, which most popular one or most common one is that you don't require any down payments to use this loan. Another is that you don't require private mortgage insurance. I went ahead to define what that is in my previous video. To sum it up again or summarize, it just means that you do not require mortgage insurance for the loan that you take from the VA. And that is because a private mortgage insurance is usually required just to back up that loan if you're not putting down more than 20%. And because we buy the loan, we get this loan and it's backed by the VA, and we can buy houses or a house with zero payment down. The VA backs this loan up for us. They guarantee this loan on our behalf. So for that reason, we do not require PMIs. So like I said, I'm going to talk about 10 benefits in this video. Reason number one, the number one benefit is the most popular one, which is that it requires zero payment down. This is a big one because, for most civilians, depending on the type of loan that you're taking, you might require anywhere between 3.5% to about 20%, and so on and so forth. That is about $20,000 to $80,000 on a $400,000 home. Like I said in my previous video, I don't know a lot of people who have the type of money down, sitting down somewhere to buy a house. That's a lot of money. But with a VA loan, you can walk away with your home without putting any money down. Now, there are a few things that you need to take into consideration with this. You would have to pay closing costs. There might be some fees here, some fees there, but there are ways around it. In other words, you could actually lump some of these fees into your loan. I said some of these fees, not necessarily all. But it's important to take into consideration that compared to other loans, you will be paying a whole lot more if you're using other loans compared to the VA loan, which is why a lot of people talk about or emphasizes zero payment down, because it actually is a big deal. One of the biggest deterrents for people from buying a house, that huge hefty sum of money that you need to put down up front. I think for me, it's a gift that you should utilize, being able to buy a house without having to put something or substantial amount down. So for me, or for you out there, it's instant access to home ownership without having to wait years and years and years to save up. So even if you were an E1, E2, E3, E4, which don't get us, which at that level your pay is not so much, but the truth is at that level, E1 to E4, you can still afford to buy houses in certain regions, quite frankly, especially in the Central Valley area where I am, considering that you're in California and everything is expensive in California. But surprisingly, you can buy houses anywhere between $350, $400, might even get less than that in some cases, and you can buy these houses with zero payment down. The benefit number 2, like I'd already hinted or mentioned before, is that you do not require private mortgage insurance. Now, on conventional loans, a PMI can cost you anywhere between $200 to $400 a month until you hit the 20% mark, or until you hit 20% equity, I should say. VA loans don't require you to have a PMI ever. That's a huge advantage when you think about it, because that additional $200 or $400, like that I mentioned, maybe more, it adds up. If your mortgage was, say, $2,000, that becomes $2,200, that becomes $2,400, maybe $2,500. That amounts to thousands of money saved every year, money that you could put into your pocket, that you could apply to other expenses, your car, some other insurance that you have, other expenses that you might have, or just extra money in your pocket to buy groceries, or whatever the case may be. So, like I said, I'll be talking about 10 of these benefits. When you stack them up, you start to see why ultimately this is in your best interest. This is huge for you. The fact that a lot of the hindrances or obstructions or the deterrents that prevent other people from being able to buy, you just with the fact that you are serving your country in the military, have access to these benefits that make home ownership easily accessible to you or for you. So benefit number 3, low interest rates. This one is huge. This is big for me because in recent time, as at the time of this recording, a couple months ago, interest rates were hovering around 6.5%. And I have a mortgage affordability calculator, where you could put these numbers in, or you could use any other mortgage affordability calculator out there on the internet, where you could put in these numbers and play with them and see what exactly I'm talking about, how every percentage point adds up considerably. So if you got a loan at 6.5, 6.6, 6.7%, it's a lot of money, quite frankly. Now, with the VA loan, as a active duty member, a veteran, or a surviving spouse of these individuals, you could get flexible interest rates. I've heard of cases where people could get as low as lower 5%, 5.2, 5.3, and so on and so forth, 5.4. It happens, and that's good. That's a gift. If you use this calculator, the tool I talked about, for example, on my website, you can see the link in the description below. You will see how when you add the numbers, you're saving hundreds, and obviously in the long term, thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars overall. It's a gift. A lot of people don't get that. I can imagine if somebody who wasn't in the service was going to buy a house and they were offered 6.5%, and you were offered 5.5, 5.25%. I can imagine how those people feel, how much money you will be saving compared to them. And like I said earlier, with regards to referring to my shipmates, I'm in the Navy, and not how they didn't know about these benefits. I thought to myself, I'll give you an example. I bought a house recently while I was on deployment. At the time I bought, I was an E3, I believe, when I bought that house. On my E3 salary, I was able to buy a decent house, 4 bedrooms, I believe. That, in my opinion, is really, really good. I was just an E3. Now, I use that as an example to point out to you that you don't have to be chief or an E7, E8, E9. You don't have to be 04, 05. We're not all paid the same way, but I believe that at the level that we're at and with the amount that we're being paid, you're able to afford a decent house for yourself if you wanted to go down that route. So it's a benefit. Low interest rates, one of the benefits that you can take advantage of for you as a service member, I beg your pardon. Benefit number 4. The 4th benefit that I'm going to list here is flexible credit requirement. I gave an example earlier about service members in the E1 to E4 rank, usually, not in all cases, they tend to be younger individuals, age 18, say maybe to 25. Of course, you have older service members. I was an older guy when I joined, but typically they're ages 18, so I mean their low 20s, 23, 24, maybe 25. At that level, most of these men and women are just starting their lives out, so they've not made the best choices financially. They're still trying to figure out themselves financially. And even if they were older than that, it happens. We all have our stories. Everybody's journey or life is different. So what I'm basically trying to get at is the fact that some individuals, if not most, tend to have not so good credit. Now, one of the benefits of VA loan is that it gives you room. It's a little flexible with your credit, with the requirements for credit, your credit requirements or your credit score to buy a house. While the other loan requirements might be a little stricter, it's a bit more flexible with the VA loan. Now, it varies out there, so I would strongly advise that you speak to a lender first. But what I'm going to say to you is, regardless of what your credit score is, don't assume that you don't qualify. I would encourage you to give me a call, reach out to me, or reach out to a lender that you know, and they talk to them about your situation. They should be able to help you out. But let me stick my neck out and say that if you have credits, if your credit score is in the mid 500s, upper 500s, low 600s, mid 600s, you are good. Lenders can work with you. Reach out. Don't let that be a deterrent. Don't let that prevent you from buying. Don't assume that you need to have a perfect credit score, a perfect 800, you need to have a 700 plus. You don't necessarily need all that, quite frankly. Ultimately, in the system that we live in, the better your credit, the better rates you're going to get for your loan. But that is not necessarily the case with the VA loan. So lenders tend to be a bit more flexible with you depending on your situation. So I'm going to say it might typically be on a case-by-case basis because everybody's situation is definitely different. However, let this be an encouragement to you that it shouldn't be a deterrent for you not to try to buy. Regardless of what your credit situation is, these loans, like I mentioned earlier, are backed by the government. So lenders approve you with a bit more flexibility. And that also means that approvals are done relatively faster compared to other loan types. So, on to the next benefit. Benefit number 5. We're already halfway through, I wouldn't say this video, but halfway through my list of benefits. The 5th benefit here is that the VA loan has no loan limits. So I'm going to read from my notes here so I'm a bit more accurate. So as of recent updates, if you have full entitlements, there are no official caps on how much you can borrow. That means you can use your VA loan on starter homes, on your dream home, even higher priced properties, if that is something you're going for, as long as you qualify for the monthly payment. So as with most loans, it depends on your credit score, how much you earn, your credit history, and if you've used the loan before. But like I said, reach out to your lender, reach out to me. Just bear at the back of your mind, or just have at the back of your mind rather, that there are no loan limits. There's no limit on your loan. You can use your loan as many times as you possibly can. You need to have paid off the previous loan before you can, and then we need to find out how much you have left on the loan that you used before, and then we can go from there. But it's typically on a case-by-case basis. So like I said, there's no loan limit, there are no limits on the loan. Reach out to me. And so benefit number 6 are reusable benefits. So the VA loan is not a one and done thing. Just because you've used it once doesn't mean you can't use it again. No, you can use your VA loan multiple times in your life. For your first home, when you PCS, you're moving from one duty station to another duty station, when you want to make an upgrade, you want to buy a much bigger house, or you want to downsize. Your benefits will always move with you. But that's why it's a benefit. This is something that you can enjoy. You've used it once, you can use it again. Like I will be reiterating on the next couple of benefits here always make sure that you're speaking to a qualified person, a specialist on this subject. You reach out to me, hence this video, so that you can have access to me. You know how to reach out to me if you have more questions, or you can just drop your questions in the comment below, and I do my best to be able to answer them. Or if you know a qualified lender who specializes in VA loans, reach out to them with these questions. But just don't sit back and assume. I guess is the point of this video, or the series of videos that I will be making. As service members, these benefits exist for us to utilize them. There's a lot of information out there. I just need you to be armed with this information so that you can benefit from them, and you can help yourself, help your family, help your loved ones. So if you've used the loan once, you can always use it again and again and again. There are conditions attached to that, but reach out to a specialist so we can guide you on exactly how you should go about that. Benefit number 7. We're almost done with this. This is a huge one. VA loans are assumable. I'm going to read from my notes on this one. VA loans are assumable. What that means basically is that if you sell your house, another qualified buyer can take over your low interest rate. So in a high rate market, that makes your home more attractive and it can sell faster. That's huge. Again, to reiterate the point I had made earlier when I started this video series, or this video particularly, these are benefits. They just seem like they're hidden inside of layers and layers and layers, and most of us are not aware about these benefits. Again, I will say, reach out to a qualified specialist, reach out to me. Once you've listened to all of these things and they pique your interest, reach out to me, ask questions below. I'll do my best to be able to answer your questions and help you out with this information and help guide you and navigate you through these processes in the purchase or with the purchase of your home. Or you could reach out to any lender that you know that is specialized on VA loans, and let them help you out with this situation. On to the next benefit. Benefit number 8, one-time funding fee waiver. So the VA charges a funding fee instead of a PMI. If you remember when I said earlier in the video how you can buy a house with 0 payment down, but there are some fees that you might need to pay. The funding fee is one of those fees. There is a caveat though. If you have a service-connected disability, that fee is waived. So if you have, like I mentioned earlier, service-related or service-connected disability, the funding fee is waived. And that amounts to thousands of dollars that you eventually save. Think about that. As at the time of this video, I'm actually helping one of my shipmates with a home purchase in a different state, and that this situation came up, and they will have to waive that fee because of the service-related disability status of this service member. It is true. It is a thing. It's worth considering. Remember I said these are benefits. I want service members to be aware of these things so you can go out there and purchase your dream home. Don't hold back. Don't sit back. You have these benefits have been made available to you. Utilize them. That's why they are there. Benefit number 9, options for multifamily and new construction homes. So in my market, I'm in the Central Valley area, and right here in Lemoore, Hanford, Visalia, Fresno, Kings County, Tulare County, pretty much everywhere you turn around the Central Valley area, there's a new construction going on. I'm currently stationed at NAS Lemoore, and just around us here is a lot of new construction going on. Most of us here buy these new homes without VA loan. So I mentioned earlier that you can buy up to 4 units. The way this works is that you can buy up to a 4-unit property with your VA loan as long as you live in one of those units. And so this is particularly attractive for people who want to, how do I put this? For people who want to build a portfolio. So long as you're living in one of those houses, one of those units, then you can do this. So you buy a house and it has a multi-family home with your VA loan. You live in one unit, you rent out the other. What some people do is that the money that they collect as rent from that other unit, they used to pay their mortgage or used to supplement their mortgage. And that way they're saving more money. If you're using your BAH, which typically most people use to pay your mortgage, that's money coming back into your pocket when you rent out that additional unit. So you can buy up to a maximum of 4-unit property with your VA loan. Or you could also use it to buy a new construction home. There are tons of them in this area. If you look through my channel, you'll see videos on some of these new constructions in the area from the NR Homes, SVJ Homes. There's a bunch of them in this area. A lot of beautiful homes. I will do my best to showcase some of these homes as time goes on. But what I need you to take away from this benefit number 9 is that you can use your VA loan to buy multifamily homes and new construction homes. So if that is what you're interested in, yes, that is definitely that's available to you. That's an option that you could explore. It doesn't have to be a house that is old. You could buy a new one. So if your question was, can I use my VA loan to buy a new construction home? Yes, you can. Can I use my VA loan to buy a multifamily home? Yes, you can. There is a guy, Josh Villarreal, I'm not quite sure, on YouTube, and he specializes in that. I believe he's somewhere in San Diego. I watch his videos. He talks a lot about using your VA loan to buy rental properties. I think he does something like that. So you could also check out his videos. He shares a lot of information about that subject. Yes, it is possible. And now we've come to the end of the video. Benefit number 10. This is more of a bonus. Foreclosure avoidance support. I thought to add this just because everybody's situation is different. According to my notes that I have written out here, is that the VA actually steps in with programs to help you if you fall behind on your payment. I understand that our situations are different. I realize that everyone's situation is different. So if a service member or the individual falls into a category where they're falling behind on their payment, the VA can actually step in with this program to help you if you are having such challenges. It is built to keep veterans in their homes and not kick them out. What we do is special, it's exceptional. Not everybody can do it. I don't say that to mean that we are special. I only say to appreciate what we do. And for that reason, it's worth mentioning that we're grateful that opportunities like this exist to be able to help service members if they fall behind with their payment for whatever reasons that they find themselves in those situations. It is a benefit, and that's why I added it as a bonus at the end of my list of 10 benefits. I hope this video was helpful. So like I was saying, in conclusion, the VA loan isn't just a mortgage. In my opinion, it's a wealth building tool that civilians wish that they had. I should also say that it's a wealth building tool that I want service members and those who qualify to be aware that they have. It's a benefit that's available for you to use to improve your life, to give you the opportunity to own a house or a home, or multiple houses if you wanted to go down that route. The only question then for you is, are you going to use it? Well, I hope you do after this video. And I hope that I've been able to pique your interest. I hope I've been able to whet your appetite. I hope you will have more questions for me after this video. Please feel free to reach out to me in the comment section below. My contact information are in the description. And thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing your time with me. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.